Hello, I'm Bradley Simpson, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Bradley, what's up, dude? I am super excited that you are doing this new music, this new solo project, but I am really bummed out that I missed out on the LA show a couple weeks ago. I've always been a fan of your stage show and your live performances, so it would have been great to see you in such a smaller space like the Moroccan Lounge, because ever since I last saw you, it's been, the stages keep getting bigger and bigger, so it would have been very intimate to kind of see you in that kind of light. How was that LA show?
Thank you, man, by the way. Appreciate that. We'll be back. We'll be back, and
Perfect.
we'll make sure we get on a date that we'll book the show around you for you. But yeah, no, it was really fun, man. The gig was great. It was my first shows in America in 6 years, so it was like
Damn.
fun to be back. Like really nice to get out in front of the fans again and
Right.
like show them what I've been working on for the past few years.
It's crazy that it's been 6 years. I feel like it
Yeah.
was only yesterday since the last time that you and I had a conversation and talked about music. And as you kind of go from those 6 years of trying to kind of figure out yourself and moving into this solo project, like what kind of like evolution did you feel that you had, especially with the writing process?
I think it was different because like I'm so used to writing with the boys and in that context, like writing within that world, which I love. Like it's the best, and you kind of drawing from everyone's individual influence. But it was a nice moment to kind of really think about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. And at first that was like kind of challenging because it's like that first setting out is like, how do I want to sound? What do I want to say? It's like they're big questions to me. So took a bit of trial and error, and then kind of landed on where I felt like the most authentic version of music that I wanted to write for me. So yeah, and then we kind of were off, and I met Boots and spent a lot of time in New York actually, and wrote the majority of the album out there and produced it out there. So it was a really enjoyable process. It was a nice time to reflect on the past 10 years and kind of write about those things that I maybe haven't written about by myself before.
Once you kind of figured out that sound and style that you wanted to go towards, did you feel that the writing just came naturally? Like these songs needed to come out, or they've been trying to come out for some time?
Yeah, exactly that, man. It was like the floodgates kind of opened a bit. Started with like a couple of songs that came, and I wasn't necessarily like there wasn't a moment where I was like, right, I'm gonna write a solo album. We weren't writing for a sixth album, and I'd written a couple of songs that felt like they didn't necessarily fit, and then I wouldn't want to pitch them out because they felt too personal. So it ended up just kind of felt in a good headspace to write, and it just developed from there really. Which I feel like is probably the best way because again, like the daunting thing of like I've got to sit down and write an album. That didn't happen. It was like okay, it's starting to come. And like you say, once it was "Cry at the Moon," which was the first single. Actually, it was like exactly how I wanted to sound, and um, after that, the yeah, like you said, the floodgates kind of opened a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I love that you worked with Andrew Wells as well for the debut. What was that collaboration like, and how did the two of you bounce ideas back and forth as you guys were collaborating on the songwriting as well?
Yeah, I love Andrew. Andrew's the boy, man. And we ended up doing like a load more stuff. Like there's a couple more songs that we did together on the album. And he makes a fantastic cocktail at his house as well. So it's like if we didn't end up with a good song, I was like, I had some great cocktails. Um, it's good. Like we just sat down as me, Andrew Wells, Anthony Rossmondo, and Anthony's an incredible songwriter as well. And we all like share very similar interests and like in terms of bands. So we kind of like sat and spoke about bands that we'd loved for a long time. And Anthony had been in half the bands that I loved growing up. Like he was a guitarist in the Claxons and like a few other bands. Um, so we just kind of spoke for the first few hours and then got into writing Cry at the Moon. And then we did a trip to Paris and we worked in a studio called Motorbase, which is just an amazing studio in the center of Paris. Um, and again, it's like really hard to get in that studio. And Andrew knows the guys there, and we got in. It was did two more songs for the album there. So Andrew was great. I felt like we got a really good team around us between Andrew, Anthony, Boots, and then like tried to keep the team as small as possible.
I love that. Going back to how you mentioned like trying to figure out that sound and style that you wanted to do with this music. I love that it does sound completely different. If I had listened to you as a solo artist before I listened to the Vamps, I wouldn't feel or think that the two relate, right? So at the same time, when I'm listening to this new material, I do notice that your vocals have changed a lot. You're at a different vocal range, a different type of vocal tone. What was that like during the recording process? Is that something that just naturally happened as you were, going through these lyrics, or was it like a vocal tone or range that you felt you had to work at?
It's a good question, man. Yeah, like I think a lot of the stuff that I've been singing in the band obviously has been written over the like I started singing the songs that we wrote for the first album when I was 17, 18.
Hmm.
And I was saying this to someone earlier actually, they were asking about the set. And I was like, the set's really fun, I'm enjoying it, but also the songs are a lot lower, like they're in the lower part of my register, which is so much more handy. Like I'm not singing up there for like 2 hours. But I think that's the beauty of like it's a completely new thing. I don't think I didn't want to do something that anyone expected, but also there wasn't that like I've had something out before, so I've got to either carry on a sound. It was like a complete blank canvas. So I wanted to write in a way that felt comfortable and like natural to me. And I think that means that I can kind of, yeah, explore a part of my voice that I haven't within the context of the band. And it's even down to like effects and stuff and like how you treat your vocal afterwards. You can kind of I can play around with that a bit more. So yeah, it's been a fun process definitely and challenging in parts as well because it's like I think trying a new thing and the album and the whole process. It's like how do I do that within production, within the live show, and cultivate a whole world that feels very different to anything that I've done. So I have to do that within my vocals as well, try and showcase a different side of my voice. So um but the music kind of catered to that. It didn't feel like too strenuous at times, but there's definitely moments, yeah.
How would you say that lower register impacted your live show?
Way easier, man. Way easier. Like so much easier. But yeah, but then it's like there's I've never been like a hugely technical singer. I feel like I just kind of shout, but the lower end I've always found harder to get like weight behind, body behind. Like I'm used to singing in a higher register and I have been for like 10 years. So I feel like I've worked on that top part of my voice for a long time. But like the lower side of it is like, yeah, finding the body behind it and like this not feeling like there's huge peaks and lows within a full vocal, be it live or studio. So it's about the lows not feeling like it drops out and then my higher register, which I've worked on, feeling stronger. So it's like bringing that lower part of my voice to a stronger position was something that I worked on going into the shows. And hopefully it's like rounded out my voice a little bit more. But the whole thing, like the whole process has been a challenge in a lot of ways. But I've wanted it to be. I wanted to put myself in positions where it's like, okay, I need to like relearn stuff, or I need to go back and figure parts of my voice out that I haven't worked on in a long time. And same with like instrumentation and guitar parts and producing. So it's been a learning curve, which is exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, that's right. Like I feel like the entire thing is a learning curve. Like just singing alone, I feel like being able to hold that lower register for an entire song is not easy. Um, Talk to me a little bit about like what you really went through as far as like kind of relearning vocals for this new music.
I think like of this, the boys in the band are fantastic singers as well. I know that I can lean on those boys a lot in a live set, and they be it like doubling up on choruses or taking parts. There's always knowing that you've got that safety in those. So I think going into the shows, I felt a bit more conscious of carrying it all myself. Um, so that was something in the back of my mind. I was like, I'm not leaning back as much. I've got to be there and present and make sure that I'm hitting everything in the way that I should. To as well because these songs aren't out, so it's like no one knows them. So I'm showcasing this song for the first time to audiences. So I want to get it across in the best way or the closest way to the actual record as possible. Um, so it's made me be maybe a little less like frivolent with the vocal of just being like, oh yeah, you or the you're saying she's being a bit more like locked in and that's been fun. That's probably what I needed to do for the past like 6 years anyway. Yeah.
Now, with these two songs that you've given us so far, "Cry at the Moon" and "Picasso," which one did you feel that you felt challenged in the writing process, and why?
Um I think it's tough. Cry at the Moon was like the first one that was like the catalyst for the writing process, and it did
Mm.
come around pretty quick. Um, so Cry at the Moon less so. Um, Picasso again was pretty quick. I wrote it with Ina Roldson, who's like incredible as an artist and as a songwriter. Like I've been a huge fan of hers for a long time. Um, and I think the more challenging part of Picasso was it came slightly later in the process. So I already had a couple of songs that I sent to Ina before the session. I was just like, this is where I'm at. Just so you've got an idea of what the sound is and other stuff. And I walked in and I'd sent her Cry at the Moon and another song called Carpet Burn. And the first thing she said was like, I love your song titles. Whatever we do today, we need to get like an interesting song title. And I was like, okay, no pressure then. But and then we started playing around with that kind of like, we're talking about those experiences of people who managed to dress up heartbreak or those more turbulent parts of a relationship in quite a beautiful way. And then we kind of got round to the audacity of it, like who do you think you are, Picasso? And it kind of getting to that end point took a little bit longer than um lyrics that came on other songs. But again, the payoff was so good when we got there, we were really happy with it. So Picasso probably, but it's also one of the ones that I'm lyrically like most proud of. And I can't sing her praises enough. She's amazing.
Now, lastly, to close us off with this upcoming debut album that you're working on, do you feel that now you're going to be you're at a level where you feel more comfortable to be more vulnerable, knowing that this is your music and your music only?
Yeah, I don't know about even like comfortable because it's never something that's like the easiest thing in the world to do, or it hasn't been for me. So I think there was a huge amount of like uncomfort in it, but I also think that's exactly how it should feel. It shouldn't be like going through the motions, or it shouldn't feel easy. And I think that's what's helped me get to what I feel is like I'm super proud of these songs, and I think part of that comes through vulnerability and honesty. And like you say, because it is a solo album, I feel like I owe it to myself and to like the fans to be like, this is a different side of me that you haven't seen or heard before. Um, so it's been slightly uh tough for parts, but they feel like snapshots of my life, and the album is definitely like a reflection of the past 10 years of my life. So yeah,
Incredible. Well, I can't wait to hear this record. I can't wait to catch you live next time you're in LA. Bradley, thank you so much for reuniting with me, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
been too long. Let's not leave it this.
Seriously, I agree.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll catch you soon.